Becky Lynch, welcome
Hello,
to the show.
Good to talk to you again.
Good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me in studio.
Of course. I'm glad you're in studio. You've been on I've seen you multiple times in the last 2 weeks because you've been on this media run that's nonstop.
You just can't get enough of the champ. No one can get enough of the champ.
Well, Becky Lynch is, of course, defending the Smackdown Women's Championship at Evolution on Sunday. But you're so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. How long have you just been on a media run for forever?
I've been enjoying the hell out of this. This is what I've asked for.
Right.
This is what I wanted.
Right.
This is what I've said. I've been overlooked. I never get the media appearances. And the champ wants to talk. The champ needs to get her voice out there.
Right.
Yes, and that's what I'm getting to do. So I'm very grateful for it.
Good. But you say it with such intensity.
Yes.
There's no it's not a warm gratefulness. It's an angry gratefulness.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because the champ had to scratch and claw to get there.
Right.
And everybody's loving it.
Right.
Everybody's loving it.
Right.
So I'm like, I told you so.
You did. Well,
told
congratulations
everybody.
on everything.
Here we are.
Do you feel like, I think people would make a comparison to Conor McGregor. Do you watch Conor sell fights and go this is the way to sell a fight?
He runs his mouth.
Running his mouth.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting it.
Yeah.
And
I run my mouth.
Honestly,
I think it's an Irish thing, isn't it?
It's an Irish thing.
It's the gift of the gab.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And I have a gift.
You do.
And I have
and
a
it's
gab.
of the gab.
Yes.
Yes. Well, Becky, I mean, I know you thought you would be here in the sense that you start becoming a professional wrestler to one day be the champion. But we've talked about this before, but before you were a professional wrestler, you did every job imaginable
under the sun. Yeah,
right.
That's been crazy about coming back to New York, because there's been so many pockets of my life that have been in this city, So the first time I ever came to America was to New York City. I was 7 years old. My mom took me over for Christmas. She was a flight attendant. Best Christmas of my life. Still to date, I would say. And it was just so magical. And then I was a flight attendant myself.
Did you follow in Mom's footsteps?
I did.
You're like, Mom, can you hook me up with a gig here?
So she was retiring. I had just retired from wrestling at the tender age of 19. Didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And she was handing in her resignation. She was like, well, I hand in your resume. I was like, sure, you might as well. And then lo and behold, here I was. And we would stay just up the road in the Sheraton there, right in Times Square. And so it's crazy. And then I was working in a bar on 50th between 9th and 10th called Hibernia when I was in between my first and second year of college. So just so much of my life has rotated around the city.
What were you doing in the bar? Bartending?
Bartending and
bouncing?
No, I was not bouncing. But if anybody got out of hand.
When do you retire from being a flight attendant? How do you know it's time to... Because that seems like a job you could kind of do forever.
Yeah. I mean, if you're into that sort of thing.
Right.
I didn't love it. So I was there for 2.5 years. I wanted to do different things with my life, but the job is so all-encompassing. Like with WWE, you're gone all the time. Your schedule is so demanding. And it was hard for me to take up any other hobbies. And having been so dedicated to something like wrestling before that, I knew what it was like to have a passion. And at that time, I didn't have it for anything and I needed it, Now, I wanted to try and find it, and that's why I left. So I went back to college, yeah.
And that's why you started doing all kinds of jobs, just to feel like something's got a spark here.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I felt like, and it's crazy because I've kept journals my whole life, right? And I remember writing down that I just want to make a mistake. I just want to have a big giant mess up just so that I can feel like I'm doing something, like I'm alive, because I felt like I was doing everything to the letter and to the T and by the book, and it just was so unfulfilling.
And it just stays, it's like one solid line the whole time. There's no back against the wall. There's no real reason to do anything. It's just existing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly. And it just felt so flat, like I was flatlining. And that's why I need to get out of here. I need to do something that sets my soul on fire like the way wrestling did. And lo and behold, here I am. But it's crazy because I guess that's how the Becky Lynch character felt, right?
Right.
Like she was doing everything right, everything by the book and just existing in WWE.
And it's time to take a risk and make a big heel turn and screw the audience, screw everybody. It's my time.
Absolutely.
Right.
Heel turn. I don't know what you mean by that. I think I just went from a non-believer to a believer.
Right.
Exactly.
That's why I love it. Now, why did you quit at 19?
Long story. long story, but let's make it a short story.
Yeah.
So at the time, I became obsessed with getting into the WWE, right? As a teenager, but at the time they didn't want girls that looked like me, or so I was told, and not by any reliable source. It was another fellow independent wrestler,
just another guy who also couldn't get in.
Yeah,
it was like, they don't want you. I couldn't get in. They don't want you. They don't like girls like you.
They don't want girls like you.
Yeah,
is exactly what they said. And so I was like, well, I'll make them want girls like me, right? So then I started bodybuilding, and I got emaciated, right? And I did it all wrong. And at that time, then I wasn't training as much in the ring. I was just concentrated on eating my freaking 4 ounces of chicken or whatever it was, and with that, I just, every bump I took just got more and more painful because I had nothing to protect me, and
because you hadn't built you didn't have a wrestling body.
Yeah, I didn't have a wrestling body, and I was skinny,
Mm-hmm.
and had nothing to protect me. And then my visa ran out in Canada. It was just a perfect storm of just things not working out. And I was back home in Ireland, and my mom was like, well, what's your plan? What's your plan? What's your plan? What's your plan? And there's no plan with wrestling. You don't know when the call is going to happen. And when you're sitting at home, you're not earning money, and my mom just wanted me to get my life together. And she's like, what's your plan? I'm like, well, I'm trying this thing. And then anyway, I got hurt in a match in Germany. And I came back wearing sunglasses. I was all busted open, like freaking hanging out the side of my head. She's like, what the hell are you doing wearing sunglasses indoors? I was like, I'm a rock star. She's like, take them off. I was like, oh, darn it.
How did you get what was it that damaged your face to that extent?
I suplexed a girl onto my head. So in a moment of aggression, what happened was the crowd started chanting women's wrestling. And it wasn't in the sense that they chant it now. It was in a derogatory sense.
Oh, like this is we're not here for this.
This is terrible.
Right.
It's like, well, I'll show you.
Right. And as it turns out, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
So I suplexed her. And she held on to me because she was scared. I was like, oh, damn. And she landed on my face.
So her head just lands on your eye socket?
Yeah. My eye just busts open. I get up the top. There's just blood. All I can see is red. And so anyway, so I come back. My mom's like, will you please give up? Will you please give up? I'm like,
always what you want to hear from a good parent.
Yeah, like just come on, like, what are you doing with your life? Blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm trying to come up with a plan B. So at the time I was like, okay, well, let me go to Orlando. Let me do a personal training course, so then at least I have a plan B. And anytime you do a plan B, it always becomes plan A, right? You take your focus off the prize, and that's what happened. I ended up in Orlando, not realizing you need a car to get around and things like that, or money.
Right.
Apparently, you need money as a person.
Well, you need money to get the car,
yes.
And then you also need money to put in the car so that you drive places and there's money.
Absolutely,
right.
And to eat and things like that, and,
right?
Exist. So anyway, I end up in Orlando, and I don't know what to do with myself. I become very lost. I become very depressed, and very confused. And I'm 19. I'm out on my own, and I didn't have a support system. I didn't have it, and I just shied away from wrestling. I couldn't
because it had betrayed
face the world. Yeah,
it was your dream, and then it didn't work out. And you were like, well, this thing used to be so good to me, and now it makes me feel so bad.
Well, I don't know that I ever felt that about wrestling. But I certainly felt that about myself.
I see.
And I certainly felt that a lot. And even coming into WWE, my goodness. How many times did I say W right there? I
don't know. When the Irish kicks in, I hear it with Sheamus too. I'm like, I don't know if he pronounces every syllable of that word, but you get the gist.
Yes, yeah. So anyway, so even when I came into WWE, NXT, in NXT, like, I felt just this tremendous amount of guilt because I felt like, and I remember meeting Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn was on one of my last tours, and he had been wrestling the entire time, pursuing his dream, and there I was, who had given it up for 7 years, and I was in the same spot, and I felt like fraud. I felt like, I don't deserve to be here. I turned my back on my passion and what I loved and this business because I couldn't face it, because I had some demons to face. And so I felt like I shouldn't have been there. Like I felt like I had to pay penance. And I did that to just too much of an extent, you know, for the first long while that I was in WWE.
How long did it take for you to shake that off?
Oh, man, at least a year, but I think it's been ongoing.
Wow.
And certainly, the first few years took a while. It was there. Yeah, it was there. Just that guilt that I had this passion, I had this dream, and I gave up on it.
And all these other people have been sitting here paying their dues the whole time, and I walked away, and now I get the same opportunities.
Absolutely.
So did you start working? Like, how do you handle that?
What right do I have?
Right. So do you start working like twice as hard as everybody else? Do you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But here's the other thing is I think then what the great thing about it is if I didn't walk away, and this is what would happen, was that I realized where I was the perfect time with the perfect group of people, because NXT was really on the come up and it was something special and you could feel that. And if I hadn't walked away, I wouldn't have been there at that exact moment, and then I wouldn't have been with Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte.
Right.
It wouldn't have been the four horsewomen, you know. And so it all felt very serendipitous, but it allowed me to be so unbelievably grateful. And I would sit in my apartment and sometimes I would cry. Yes, the champ cried.
But that was before she was the champ.
That was before she was the champ.
Right. Becky would cry. The champ doesn't cry.
The champ doesn't cry.
Good.
Unless she's something really moving, like a three-legged puppy or something. He
still gets around. He's so strong. Look at him go. The spirit.
I identify with that spirit. And just about the fact that wrestling was affording me the groceries in my fridge and the roof over my head. And
that money that we were talking about before.
The money.
You were actually getting some.
That had eluded me before.
That's
the last time I was in Orlando.
That's right.
I had it. It was paid by something that I loved to do.
And what was better in Orlando, being there with no money or with money?
With money.
With money was better. Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Shockingly enough.
I'm writing that down because I'm trying to figure out New York right now. And so far, I only know without money. So I'm going to try to do it with money.
Try it.
Yeah, because it seems better.
It's so much fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever get to a point when you weren't, before you got back into wrestling, did you get to a point where you actually did feel like everything had gone away? Like you were saying before, everything was by the book, you were flatlining. Like, did you get to a place where you were like, my back's against the wall, I have absolutely nothing. This is what I asked for in the worst way type of thing?
Oh, probably a few times. I remember showing up in New York in between my first and second year of college, and I was like, I probably won't even have to work for the whole summer. I have so much money in my bank account. $1,000? I'm rich.
So you were never a numbers person.
Never a numbers person. Yeah. Becky Lynch has some skills. Math is not one of them.
Right.
So I arrive in New York, $1,000 rich.
Right.
After day one, $600 gone. I was like, oh my goodness, I might need to get a job. That's when I wandered into Hibernia. I'm like, you got any jobs? I didn't even know anybody over here. I had a hostel booked at Olympic Circle for 3 nights.
Probably really nice.
Yeah. Shared a room with 3 strangers. It was lovely. Yeah,
good.
Bunk beds.
Right.
Bunk beds. Well, that's what fancy types.
That's what a young girl with $1,000 to her name coming to New York with no friends wants to do. Just go to a hostel and share a room with 3 strangers.
Absolutely.
Like, what could go wrong?
Yeah. Living the dream.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, what else did you do? Because didn't you go to did you go to stunt school or circus school or something like that?
I went to I studied the art of clown.
That's right.
I studied the art of clown.
I don't want to trivialize it with the way I phrased my question.
Yes.
So you studied the art of clown.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah. There was an expression on your face that I didn't appreciate there with the art of clown.
I don't mean to look down on the art of clown.
It's quite an art.
I'm sure. I've never done it. I'm sure I'm not capable of doing it.
Well, everybody's capable.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, you just need to put a lot of dedication, like the champ did.
Right.
I did my thesis on the art of clown and how it leads to a truthful performance.
Do you think that that's true?
Absolutely. My conclusion is that it's all make-believe.
Right.
Right? And so little kids play make-believe.
Mm-hmm.
and they go in and they play doctors or whatever, and they really believe that they're a doctor. And clowning is just clowning around.
Right.
And making believe. So what the hell are we doing with this acting degree? Can't you just play?
Right.
Basically.
Right.
So after 3 years doing my degree,
Mm-hmm.
I concluded.
This is all nonsense.
Yeah, this is all nonsense.
Yeah,
What the hell? We're just playing make-believe. Let's just play make-believe.
But when I feel like watching wrestling for all my life has changed the way that I look at everything. Like when I'm watching the news, I'm like, yeah, but it's all like I don't look at wrestling and go like, yeah, but they all know what's going on. Literally everything I watch, I go, yeah, they all know. I mean, they know what's going on. Like this is everybody's playing their roles here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Completely.
And I feel like it gives you a different view on life that I think is more correct than most other people who take everything so seriously.
Possibly. Yeah. 100%. And do you watch movies in that way too? Like, oh, look at that.
Like
big baby face.
Yeah. Where you're looking for the turn and like the
yeah.
Okay, he's getting the heat right now. Yeah, I got it.
Oh, look, a hope spot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that 3-act structure.
Yes.
It never fails.
Yeah. Here's the falsies. Yeah.
Now, yeah, exactly. Were you looking at stuff like that when you weren't wrestling? Like, is that how you knew that's really where I need to get back to?
I don't know that I was.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't know that I understood the structure as much as I do now. But I always just felt like I had unfinished business, and I always wrote that I had unfinished business, and it would always pop up in my head. And Finn Balor can attest to this because I would always sit down with him. I was, I'm going to go back to wrestling. No, I'm not. I'm doing this other thing, and I love this other. But I'm going to go back to wrestling tomorrow. And so I would constantly change my mind and flip flop. And one time we were sitting down having lunch in Dublin, and he was off in Japan or whatever. He'd come back, and I was like, well, I keep thinking that I'm supposed to do this thing, and he just go back now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sitting here with you in another 10 years, and you're going to be wishing that you'd gone back then, but it's going to be too late. And I did.
So you went back.
I went back.
Did you think at any point you were going to be a clown?
No, possibly not. No, I didn't think that I was going to actually work as a clown.
Right.
But I just appreciated the art.
I see. So you really just took it to give you a foundation.
A foundation.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
A helpful foundation. So many actors have used the art of clown.
The art of clown.
And, yeah.
Now, when you were going to school for the art of clown, were there other people there that were like, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go be a clown.
Yeah.
Where do people work if they're, I guess, Ringling Brothers and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's even less gigs for clowns than there are for wrestlers.
Or solo theater performances. Or there's clown troops.
Yeah, but do people like pay a ticket to see just like a solo clown?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Where?
Yeah.
Is that like
a
French thing?
Ireland,
Yeah.
Fringe theater, exactly. Yeah.
Because I feel like in New York, if some guy was like, yeah, I do a clown show, I'm like, there's like everything's going on here. Why would I go to see some guy just do the art of clown by himself?
Why wouldn't you?
I guess I don't know enough about it.
Okay, well, there
Right.
you go.
That's-
That's why you might want to seek it out.
That's my ignorance speaking.
Yes,
is what
that
is.
is.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I have a thesis that I wrote about it. Do you want me to get you a copy?
I'd love to read it
Okay.
sometime. I feel like I'd really start to develop an appreciation for it.
I think you would.
Did you save it? Like the way you said, do you save all your journals?
I save all my journals.
Did you save your clown thesis?
I believe that, it's got to be at home somewhere. But I remember I didn't proofread it. And then when I got it back, I opened up the first page, nothing but spelling mistakes. I was like, gosh darn it.
Yeah.
No wonder I didn't get a first class honours. I only got a second class honours because the content was clearly great.
Right, it was there.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, the champ's a genius.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except with spelling and numbers.
Yes,
Right.
those things.
But those are the details, and that's not as
creative
important.
Genius.
Yeah, I did I had to do a thesis about Disney movies when I was in college. You know, and I did it about the racial stereotypes that exist in these Disney movies.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote this whole thesis. It was like 20 pages, the whole thing. And I got an email back in the middle of summer saying, Sam, I want to give you a grade, but there's not one citation in this entire paper. Nothing is cited here. There's nothing. This isn't a research paper. Like, you just made stuff up about Disney for 20 pages. Like,
that sounds incredible.
This
is just a theory.
Right. I just started writing
Oh.
and went for 20 pages and handed it in. And they were like, there's no citations here. This isn't a research paper. And I was like, oh, no. I forgot to put in the citations. And I went on my computer and found the paper. And I was like, oh, my God. And just started adding citations to things. And I did great on it.
But you had done the research. You just forgot to.
No, I hadn't done the
hadn't,
research.
so you just
I'd
found stuff to back up what you were saying.
I'd seen the movies.
Okay.
I knew the books where the research was in.
Okay.
So I just cited those books where it's in there. It's in there.
Yeah.
So that's what I cited.
Okay, but did you have to quote things?
I mean, what is she going to look through the books and find the page numbers?
That's also
you know what I mean?
true. I like your thinking, Sam.
Like let's get
Brilliant.
to the root of this.
This is a lesson for college kids everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the path of least resistance is a path that I've always believed in.
Exactly.
Right.
I like your style.
And, if she's willing to email me and say, hey, there's no citations in this and not just give me an F, she's probably willing to be like, hey, I don't think your page numbers are right. And I'd go, oh, let me correct them. And I'd figure out whatever the next thing was.
Does anybody do that when they're looking at stuff? Do they go, oh, well, this is an interesting theory. On page, 26 of this book, whatever. Let me go to the library, take it out.
Right.
Do they?
No way. I mean, you're a professor. You've already got to read out 15, 20 of these giant papers. The last thing you want to do is look up all these quotes. And who would be brazen enough to just quote a book that he just saw the title of the book? Who would do that?
But you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now that I'm thinking about it, more people probably should be.
They should.
Because who's going to go to that effort?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I would do the same thing when they would ask you, I went to film school, and they would ask you like a question about a film that I didn't bother going to see. But clearly in the question, it was either like, how did the local people react when this film was made about their culture? It's one of two things.
How did they react?
I don't know.
Oh.
I
want to know.
It's either
okay.
they reacted well because it was authentic.
Yeah.
Or they didn't react well because it was inauthentic.
Okay.
So
but how do you know whether it's going to be authentic or not when you haven't seen the movie?
You have to pick one.
Okay.
And it's either get 100% or go down in a blaze of glory.
And just commit.
Just either be absolutely 0 or absolutely 100. Because if you're wishy-washy, then they're going to know. But you got a 50-50 shot at being right, and then they're like, oh yeah, I clearly saw the movie. Or he just made all this up.
So how often would you be right? More
often than not, like I was better than 50-50.
Okay.
You could usually figure out in the question which direction they were going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all you need to do.
I like your style.
Yeah.
But it kind of reminds me that you have that option for error. When you don't understand what somebody's saying to you, and they're and you ask them to repeat it. And they say whatever, and you're like, what time is it? Whatever, and you're like, and eventually you've asked them so many times what they're saying that you just go, ha ha ha, yeah. And they go, no, what time is it?
Yeah,
You're like,
I know,
yeah, 5 or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I feel like you're in that area.
Like I would do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. I'd do it like after the first one.
Okay.
I wouldn't bother going like, could you repeat that? Because I'm like, let's move on to the next thing. Like, we don't need to just dwell in this. I don't understand what you're asking. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like you'd be like, what time is it? And I'd be like, haha, yeah, okay, so see you later. And that,
oh, because it's time for you to leave.
Time to go.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
and you get that. You'd be like, oh, that's a pun. I like that. You know?
I mean, is that a pun?
I mean, metaphorically.
Okay.
Yeah, metaphorically it is. So Evolution is on Sunday.
It's on Sunday.
In Long Island?
In Long Island.
Right.
Yeah.
So anybody who's local should be going to this show if you don't already have tickets, because this is historic. You got a last woman standing match.
Yep.
Which I would imagine is going to be sheer brutality.
Yep.
And you wouldn't...
For her.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to unleash sheer brutality.
Yep.
You couldn't, with a straight face, go and tell all these people how great you are if you weren't planning on just unleashing hell on Charlotte at this show on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Now, are you more focused on your match and the performance, or are you more focused on the historic implications of having a giant match on the first all-women's WWE pay-per-view?
My match and my performance.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, because it's all about cementing my legacy and showing everybody why I'm the greatest champ of all time.
Now, I see on Twitter you've been talking crap to like everybody.
Yeah.
On the roster.
Yep.
Like, and I think it's interesting because in wrestling, on Twitter sometimes it's not like that much wrestling. Like it's people just kind of being, oh, today I went grocery shopping and this is blah 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 and this is, and I might as well be watching Smackdown. You're like, yeah, but you're not the champ, so who cares if you went grocery shopping?
Absolutely.
Right.
The champ doesn't care about your groceries.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how do your coworkers react when you see them and they're like, why do you have to talk shit on Twitter? I'm just trying to live my life and you're still harassing me at home on Twitter. Why are you doing that?
The champ doesn't care about that.
Doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
No.
Doesn't care about their feelings. This is business.
Right.
I'm here for business.
Right.
And I'm going to make business.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not there to make friends.
No, I'm not there to make friends. I tried that.
Right.
Didn't work out so well for me.
No.
So now what I'm going to do is pick them all off one by one, and I don't care how long it takes me. But the champ realized that in the space of maybe 1 year at the beginning, what, like 7 people turned on me?
Right.
Or attacked me?
That seems like the problem is more you than them at that point.
And that's what it seems like. But it was the only thing that was my problem was that they took advantage of my good nature.
Exactly.
I was too good natured.
You know what they did? They mistook your kindness for weakness.
Ha! What a mistake they made.
That's right.
Well, and they're going to pay for it.
Well, now they're feeling it on Twitter every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're going to pay for it.
They
you know,
are.
and that's so legacy, I've already got that, right? We all know that the champ is the greatest of all time,
Finished.
right?
That's done. That's
Sorted.
cemented.
Yeah.
So in just a couple years, you went from, oh my God, I don't know if I deserve to be here, to, hey, good news, my legacy's been cemented.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
of course.
that's
Because it
fantastic.
was all about belief.
Right.
Right? And this is what
It's like
I was
The
meant
Secret.
to do. Yes, exactly.
yes.
It's The Secret. Have you read that book?
Yeah, I've read
It's
it.
wonderful. You think about a light switch.
Right.
And
there's a light switch.
You think about how does light come on? I don't know how it happens, but
Right.
I turn a light and there it is.
It's like that Insane Clown Posse song when they pose the question, magnets, how do they work? And they surmise it's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Right, yes.
Absolutely. Which
Yes.
yeah. So and okay, have you watched there was a DVD about it.
About magnets?
No, The Secret.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen that.
You've seen the
yeah,
DVD.
yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Right. But I've also
Absolutely
seen the
incredible.
Insane Clown Posse's music video for the Magnet song
And
too.
it was wonderful.
Amazing.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Yeah, The Secret, one of my favorite books of all time.
Well, yeah, because
It makes people really paranoid about their thoughts.
right. Because oh my
Yeah.
God, this isn't what I should be thinking.
Ah, yeah.
Although they start to lose me when they start saying things like, if you want to lose weight, all you have to do is think thin thoughts. And I'm like, I think there is a diet and exercise regimen that goes into it as well.
No, you just think about it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you're in
Yeah.
better shape than me, so you would know.
Well, you know, I just think about it.
Right. You go
Yeah.
to McDonald's, you're like, yeah, I'm eating a Big Mac, but I'm thinking
Thinking.
about how thin I am.
Yeah.
And then you're great.
Yeah, and
You're
I
good to
always
go.
see the models, and they eat whatever they want, right? So they're probably just thinking really
Right.
skinny thoughts.
It's The Secret.
So I do the same. But there was a moment in that when they were like, it's like when you turn on a light switch and a light comes on. I don't know how it works. I'm like, yes, but electricity does know how it works. So that's what happens.
Just because you don't know the explanation doesn't mean there isn't an explanation.
A scientific
Right.
explanation.
It's the wires that are behind the switch that are actually connected to those little light bulbs that pop up. It's it's technology that was developed centuries ago.
centuries ago.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, thoughts as well.
Now, you were on my wrestling podcast this week as well.
Yes.
And you said, your quote, I believe, was, I asked you about Ronda Rousey.
Yes.
And you said that you did want to fight Ronda Rousey
Yes.
because she was like a slot machine in the sense that the more you kicked her, the more money came out of it.
Yes. The harder I kick her, the
The
more
harder
money
you
will
kick,
come
the more money comes
Yes,
out.
yes.
You still feel this way? Do you have any second thoughts where you're like, Ronda
No.
Rousey is a beast? I don't know if I want to be on a public forum saying I want to kick her until money falls out of
No,
her?
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Because you're the champ.
I'm the champ.
But so is she.
She is also the champ.
Right.
Yes, but I've been in this business a lot longer than she has.
Right.
Yes, and I've proved myself in this business.
Right.
She has not.
So you're ready
She's
for...
yet to. I mean, she's a champ, but
Right.
she is yet to. She's yet to go against the likes of me.
Are you surprised at how good she's gotten so quickly, the progress that she's made in a...
Unbelievable.
Right.
Unbelievable. She is a natural.
Yeah.
You know who wasn't a natural?
Who was not a natural.
Me.
Right.
You know what? Hard work beats talent every time.
I always
I'm not
say
saying that she's not a hard worker, but
But she's talented.
she's talented.
Right.
I'm
Me?
not talented.
Right.
I'm
look,
not talented. I'm just a hard worker.
I'm the same way.
And I haven't stopped.
I was born with very few talents, but somehow I'm here
And here you are.
because I just stuck around. You know, I just kept going.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you wrote a hell of a thesis.
Right, and I wrote a great thesis.
You wrote a great thesis.
But you would like a one-on-one opportunity with Ronda Rousey.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Right.
And what type of stage would you like this on?
I wouldn't mind a WrestleMania.
You wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind a WrestleMania.
You would accept that.
I would accept the WrestleMania.
Right. Do you think that you would be victorious?
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Right. There's nothing like
There's no doubts in my mind anymore. That's the thing,
Right.
Sam Roberts.
Right.
There was doubts before.
But not
Now
anymore.
there's no doubts.
Good for you.
We have. I thought we established this.
No, we did. I just
Yeah.
wanted to test you.
Okay. All right. Well,
And you got 100%.
and I passed.
Yeah,
All right.
A+.
And there was no guessing.
No.
This was cited.
It's
From-
cited. Cited
from-
would be the
yeah,
word.
cited. It's
Okay.
cited.
All right. Maybe it's cited in Ireland. I don't know.
Cited.
But it is
Yes,
generally
there
accepted to be
are
cited.
citations.
Yes,
from
there were.
my journal
Well, listen.
of 84. Oh, I'm not that old.